planetary princesses, and you have landed on our planet. A spell has been cast, and now you are one of us.
Welcome to Planetary Princesses, your royal invitation to the cosmos. I'm Ashlee Claire.
And I'm Kate. And we're so excited that you're here with us today as we begin our 12 Zodiac Signs Through the Seasons series. In this series, we're exploring the zodiac through the lens of the seasons, starting with spring and moving through summer, fall, and winter. And whether you're just getting into astrology or you've been following the stars for years, this is all about connecting with the rhythms of nature and the magic of each sign.
Yes, so comparing the signs to the seasons, it's a really powerful way to open your mind and your intuition when it comes to astrology, because it helps you move beyond the keywords of Aries being bold and Taurus being grounded. It really helps you connect the personality traits and the feel of what each sign is really about to the real world.
Oh, this is going to be so fun. Today is the spring edition of Signs Through the Seasons. We'll be covering the first 3 zodiac signs, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, which make up the springtime of the astrological year. We'll look at how each sign carries the energy of its time of year, share some seasonal mood boards to set the vibe, and talk about how that energy might show up in your chart. So let's get started with the very beginning, Aries season, the astrological new year.
Yes, Aries season is like the kind of actual New Year energetically. I know that we celebrate New Year's Eve on January 1st and we party during Capricorn season. We make New Year's resolutions. But I feel like if you made your true New Year's resolution at the beginning of Aries season, it might energetically be set up for success just a little bit more. Aries season begins with the spring equinox. That's when the days and the nights are equal in time, 12 hours each. So the sun enters Aries around March 21st on the equinox, and it stays in the sign till about April 19th. So the dates for each Aries season does vary a little slightly, but it generally begins within a day or two of these dates. So Aries is a cardinal sign, meaning it starts something. It's the start of a season. The energy is initiating and strong. Aries season is tied to courage, instinct, and independence. It helps us take risks. It helps us trust ourselves and embrace the thrill of a fresh start. It's kind of like an alarm clock in a way. During the spring season, everything starts to feel fresh, fiery, and full of momentum. So it's the true start of the new year.
Let's share our mood board here to set the tone for the season. So as you can see, Aries season is associated with the colors of warm orange, pink, and red. And these are the colors of the sunrise. Aries starts the astrological new year, and you can also associate that with the sunrise. And also the first flower blooms of the spring season. We're finally seeing new colors instead of just snow. And you could really see that reflected in this mood board here. Capricorn season might be the new year, but when I look at this mood board, this is what the new year really feels like to me, is just this like fresh, sparky, warm start. And I'm an Aries rising, so I just love these vibes. One of the cool things about Aries is, every zodiac sign is associated with symbols. And so the symbols of Aries are the ram and the sunrise, like we just mentioned, and a freshly lit match. And so, Ashlee, like rams, those are animals that are known for jumping forward and ramming forward without any hesitation. And so it just makes so much sense that they are associated with Aries season.
Yeah, totally. When I first started getting into astrology, I'm like, why is a ram associated with Aries? I had no idea. But when I looked into it a little more, I discovered so rams are known for like their headbutting. Like they don't care. They will just get what they need. They will leap forward without hesitation, which is just like Aries energy. They're the alarm clocks of all the signs. They're fast moving and fearless and action oriented. They're bold and direct, not afraid to take risks. And like the ram, they lead with their natural instincts and passion. So a ram doesn't just like wait around and chill, it leads the herd. Aries energy will push through obstacles with sheer willpower, just like how a ram climbs a mountain.
Yes, and it's just like the vibes are charging forward, and that animal is just such a perfect representation of that. And also, fire is the core element of Aries, and that perfectly mirrors how Aries show up with raw instinct and unstoppable drive. Like once you light a match, it sparks and it's not going out unless someone physically puts it out. The spark of inspiration is just thriving from the moment you strike a match. It's a very instinctual fire energy, and it can also be they don't hold on to things as much as maybe other signs would.
Yeah, like what I tell people in readings is Aries energy sometimes reminds me of like a bunch of puppies running through the field. They just do what they want. They're playful, they're fun. And sometimes two of them might get into a little conflict, a little fight because someone, I don't know, stole a bone, but they get over it so fast and they're licking each other again. And I feel like that's how Aries people are, or at least Aries heavy people are. They're willing to move, act on instinct, playful, fun, and they get over things really fast. And what I also like about how you have like the fire coming out of the hand in the picture and the match being lit, it doesn't really matter how long the fire burns for. It doesn't matter if there's like a solid set plan. What really matters with Aries is that a spark has happened, that something was initiated. Kind of like an alarm clock when it goes off. The alarm clock doesn't really care like what you do during the day. It cares about getting you up. And that's kind of like how Aries energy is.
Oh, I love that analogy so much. That makes so much sense. And, and Aries, they are brave. And, like all of these symbols we've been talking about really capture that bravery of just initiating, starting, and beginning the springtime season.
What about the weather?
What does that astrological weather and actual weather look like during Aries season? Aries season, start of spring. The sun is gaining strength. We're getting more daylight. You have equal daylight and nighttime, about 12 hours each. The momentum starts to pick up this time of year. It's getting warm. It's going to continue to get warmer. People are putting their winter gear away and they're transitioning into springtime clothes. And when you go to the store, they're switching out cozy winter vibes for bright, bold spring collections. Like you're seeing florals pop up more. You're seeing a little bit more detail with fabrics like ruffles and maybe a little movement with the clothing that you're wearing.
The puffers are gone, the puffy jackets.
Yes, putting that all away. And also in Aries season, you get some spring storms, April showers, as they say. And this type of weather really mirrors the Aries energy because it's like quick, intense bursts of weather that clear the air. And it really mirrors that emotional expression of Aries being passionate and kind of cleansing as well.
Definitely. And during the season, like when it's Aries season, it's a perfect time for new beginnings, setting new intentions, like set a resolution during that time, like you would on New Year's Eve. You might feel an urge to go outside and just try something new. It's just that spark of inspiration. And then when you go outside, there's new life emerging. There's flowers that are starting to bloom. We're not just seeing white everywhere. And the energy that rises mirrors the Aries natural urge to begin things and to lead. So you might be dreaming about the future. You might be making some summer plans. But like I said, you don't need a full plan at this time. It's just having that spark of inspiration to do something. Since Aries is a cardinal sign, beginning of the season, it likes to start things.
What's cool about Aries season too is the holidays that take place during the season are Easter and Passover. And those are really, well, Easter especially is celebrating, resurrection and renewal, themes that align with Aries as being the first sign of the zodiac. It's all about fresh starts and the spark of life. We hide eggs. We do Easter egg hunts during Aries season, and eggs are literally the very beginning of life. They feel like fertility, and also Easter is a time where we're all embracing the playfulness of baby animals. And
Oh,
come on, baby animals. But you talked
and
about
eating
puppies.
chocolate.
Yes, it's just like embracing that childlike wonder and youthfulness. And Aries is all about that energy of youthfulness.
Yeah, and we also have Passover during that time. And Passover is a holiday about celebrating courage and liberation. It honors the boldness that the Jews took a long, long time ago to say, we want to go, we want to be freed, we're not slaves anymore, and we're leaving. And we celebrate that every year, the courage and the passion it took for the people to voice their need to be freed. And guess what? Passover, they were freed. So Aries energy is all about freedom. Like, don't hold them back. Don't tell them what to do. They're brave. They can just run off on their own. So that's kind of mirrors Passover.
I love that. What a fun holiday season during Aries season. And you know what else happens during Aries season is spring break. Spring break. That's like a wild time where people can sometimes get a bit feral. And it's like the wild side of Aries energy. It's about breaking free from the routine, maybe going on a trip somewhere that you don't normally go. You don't have to worry about your responsibilities on spring break, and you're just saying goodbye to the winter sluggishness. And that's exactly how Aries operates, is going out, having some fun at a party, channeling that fire energy.
Yeah, and then when you go back to like school or work after your spring break, there's a new kind of freshness going on since that like whole winter sluggishness is kind of gone. There's new cycles in school, there's new cycles in business that begin in the early spring. And then another thing associated with Aries is spring cleaning, making everything fresh, both literally, physically. There's a need to clear space and start fresh, which really resonates with Aries' no nonsense and forward focused mindset.
Before we move on, I just have to say, as an Aries rising, I love hearing about spring cleaning. I feel like that is the time I look forward to every year. I'm just like, spring cleaning, yay! Because that's so true. It's such an Aries vibe, just like starting fresh. And I absolutely love that vibe.
Yeah, it's not about having those like winter dust bunnies everywhere and like all like your clothes everywhere, your scarves, your mittens. Like, get rid of that. We're bringing out the florals.
Yes, yes.
So I'm not a sports person, but we do have to bring up sports because the sports seasons that start during Aries season really resonate with the energy. So we have March Madness, which is an NCAA basketball tournament. I'm telling you guys, like, I actually know. The Masters golf tournament, MLB opening day, NASCAR races, boxing, and UFC events, which happen all during Aries season. Now, Aries is ruled by Mars, which is like a fighting, fast paced, filled with people shouting, the sound of the buzzer, and all those bold moves. It feels really, really Aries. Do you know how like golf would be associated with Aries?
Okay, please enlighten me. How is golf like Aries?
It seems calm, but there's also like this precision, pressure, and there's like this deep competitiveness, which mirrors the Aries fire inside that you kind of need for golf,
Oh, that makes sense. That makes
right?
sense. I'm not really a golf person myself, but I could see how that happens. And in Arizona where I live, the time of year that Aries season happens, that is definitely the time where the most people are out on the golf course enjoying the vibes. So very
building
much
that inner fire and precision. Like, let's get this. And
Ooh.
people are cheering, and I'm just like, okay, cool, enjoy.
Well, and you know what is fun during sports season is a lot of people do like the brackets, like for
Yeah.
March
Oh,
Madness.
yeah.
And that's so competitive Aries energy. Like a spark of inspiration to plan out your bracket, but then also it's not that serious. Most people don't win their brackets. And so it's
That's
very
true.
Aries vibes to like start a sports bracket and just kind of like see where it goes. And after you have that first spark of inspiration for it and then just watch the games actually play out. And it also is that competitive spirit of Aries. Like, I want to win. I want to be number one. So they have to at least use that spark and like try to win by putting a bracket together. And then,
Right.
You mentioned the UFC and boxing, and like that's so pure Mars energy, like strategy, strength, who wants it more. Like those vibes really mirror how Aries people are, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, then after like the competition, they hold their arms up, like, yeah, like we're number one. That's so Aries. And then with baseball. So baseball starts during Aries season 2. And while that's not like a crazy kind of game, it's like also very mental with some bursts of energy like Aries. But what I think about baseball is the beginning of the season is like setting intentions and dreams. Like there's something that feels very dreamy and hopeful about the start of baseball season, which kind of mirrors how Aries can like have big dreams and big hopes at the start of something.
Oh, that makes so much sense. And then also, there are a lot of movies made about baseball and that like dreaminess. So it kind of blends like how Pisces season ends, and then the dreams of Pisces, and then it sparks into that inspiration and a goal and a dream. And yeah, that is so baseball.
A Field of Dreams. I'm not like a movie person either. A little bit of a movie person, but not like 80s movies. But yeah.
Oh, I love that. And then the beautiful thing about Aries season 2 is the fresh flowers that come out during this season. The flowers that come out they're the first to bloom, bursting with life, finally not seeing snow anymore. And they have bold colors and they grow fast. And flowers during this time of year, they really symbolize that Aries new beginnings, risk taking, and fearless kind of vibe. And so some of the flowers that are associated with coming to bloom during Aries season, you have tulips. They're one of the first spring flowers. And it's just like how Aries energy pushes through the zodiac wheel first. They symbolize renewal, bold love, and fearlessness. You also have daffodils, which are one of my favorite flowers. I'm an Aries rising. What can I say? Those are bright and sunny, and they're just very unique and unmistakable. And they announce spring with flair. And much like how Aries kicks off the astrological year, they symbolize the rebirth, the new beginnings, and confidence.
And there's also hyacinths, which are really fragrant and colorful. They appear really early in the spring during Aries season, and they make like this strong, sweet statement, just like an Aries unapologetic presence. Like, here I am, I smell good. And they symbolize courage, sincerity, and vibrancy. And then there's a flower that actually blooms through the snow. It's called a crocus. Please don't get mad if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Virgos. Like, don't get mad. But they bloom through the snow. These flowers are like little red survivors. They push through the cold, tough conditions, just like an Aries, bold and pioneering energy. And just like an Aries, they symbolize hope, youth, and the strength to be first. So, yeah, like flowers budding, it's time to create some dreams, aka a spark of inspiration.
Oh, so beautiful. I love all these flowers. And now let's move on to the middle of spring and talk about Taurus season. So Taurus season begins around April 20th and goes through May 20th. And in astrology, the zodiac sign that is in the middle of any season is called a fixed sign, since it's firmly in between the beginning and end of a season. And so Taurus season is when the sun moves through the zodiac sign of Taurus and everything slows down, softens, and settles into the senses. So if Aries season sparks the fire to begin, Taurus season reminds us to root in and enjoy. And it's a time when earthy, sensual energy is heightened. We're called to nourish ourselves through beauty, comfort, and consistency. And Taurus energy is connected to pleasure, patience, and presence, helping us build what lasts and savor what's already here. So let's pull up our mood board for Taurus season. And right away, look at the difference in Taurus season compared to Aries.
I see the leafy greens and the earthy browns. So Taurus colors, they feel like lush, soothing, and timeless. They make you just want to like exhale and touch soft things and be a little sensual, maybe light a little candle while enjoying a piece of chocolate. That's exactly how I would describe a Taurus person. They like to relax and indulge, enjoy some nature, and be a little sensual.
Oh, I love that. And you can't forget the chocolate. That's a huge part of Taurus, is just enjoying those sensual delights, including your sense of taste. And the earthy greens in this mood board, they symbolize Taurus's connection to nature, growth, and stability. It's not neon green. It's not Kelly green. It's moss and sage and olive and forest tones. And, Taurus people, they usually love their plants and their gardens.
I know this lady who's like very Aries like she's so um intense and like loud, and but she loves to plant. Like, and I found out she has a Taurus moon. So she has like the Taurus side beneath everything. Like her true love is nurturing the plants and making her whole house be lush and green. I also noticed Taurus, like the warm neutrals, like in your board, like taupe and chocolate brown and ivy and beige, because they all reflect the Taurus's love for comfort and cozy surroundings. And also the deeper greens connect to abundance and value. And Taurus does have an association with money, beauty, and fertility, like jade or emerald green.
Totally. Taurus being associated with that dark green, Taurus, they like their money. They're all about, how can they be stable? And often a lot of Tauruses are interested in investing in the stock market. And it's because they can put their money in things that are valuable for a long time, like treasuries or CDs, like things that can stay fixed, but also have growth over time. So I feel like that dark green being connected to just money itself really vibes with the Taurus vibe. And something cool about Taurus is that so every sign has a symbol, and their symbol is the bull. And we talked about Taurus being a fixed sign. It's firmly in the middle of the season, and a bull is very indicative of that vibe because they are powerful and they're grounded and deeply connected to the earth, and they move deliberately and slowly. They don't waste their energy. They're fixed in the place that they are for the most part, and it kind of reflects that. We hear the stubborn quality of Taurus. The bull really represents that vibe, but they're also calm and content animal, like the Taurus energy. Like they're fixed in one spot because they're happy to be where they are, and they really are chill as well as loving and just enjoying the grass, grazing. The pleasures of life are pretty simple for a bull, but at the same time, bulls, if you push them too far, that is when the infamous temper of the Taurus can come out. Taurus might be patient, but definitely has its limits. And so be careful when you're pushing a bull too far. What do they say in the Breakfast Club? They're like, you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They have their limits. Do not poke the bull. What about like the weather during Taurus season?
Yes. So weather in Taurus season, middle of spring, definitely a little milder and more stable. And people are starting to spend more time outdoors, enjoying the sun, being out longer, lounging in the grass. The grass is growing. During this time of year, your gardens need watering, sunlight, and attention. And like you're talking about with the Taurus moon person, you just spend time outside tending to the garden. It mirrors that patient, reliable care that Tauruses have in relationships and their work and their everyday life.
Mama energy.
Mm-hmm.
There's often like this mix of both warmth and some drizzles in late April, early May that kind of make people want to stay in even though the weather is nice, and binge watch like comfort shows and snack without guilt, and the vibe that says you deserve a little time to just relax, which is so Taurus. And also April showers bring May flowers. Taurus energy understands that true beauty and abundance don't just happen overnight. It's about, like you said, the consistent tending, the slow growth, and a lot about trusting the process. And the Taurus personality, like you said, is just like nurturing a spring garden.
And also in the garden, it's delightful to your senses. When you're in the garden, you're smelling beautiful things, you're enjoying the colors and the textures and maybe the taste of fruit that's growing. And so that is very Taurian with the sensuality of it all. Taurus is all about the sensual delights and pleasures. And so the garden, it's not only visually looking like Taurus with the greens and everything, it's also delighting the senses in more ways than one. And so this time of year, it's when that wild Aries energy just settles. It's more steady, and we're wearing our spring clothes. We're looking for accessories. We have what we need. So it's time to indulge and maybe, spend a little bit of that money to get some cute new things for the wardrobe at this time, now that we're fully settled into spring. And also, this is the time of year when your intentions begin to sprout. So this is when, those seeds that you planted, the sparks that you of inspiration that you had during Aries season really start to be fertile and grow a little bit. This is a time of year where you're settling into your routines because you're seeing a little bit of growth from the intentions that you set. And also, like, the fire has gone down a little bit and we start to move slower. This is a time of year when in school, like, finals are coming up. So maybe you're setting a long-term study plan for that. And with school being a theme during Taurus season, the school year is still happening. It's actually like a perfect time to study for finals because it's all about steady focus and patience and building solid foundations.
Tauruses, what I've noticed now, my husband is a Taurus stellium, so he has a lot of Taurus, and they like to ruminate. Like, they will sit there and be like, okay, first I got to do this, then I got to do this, then I got to do this. And they just plan. And I feel like during that time, a Taurus will sit there and they'll be like, oh, I have finals coming up in a few months, so I gotta prepare for this day and then do this day. And then I gotta get really cozy, a distraction-free study space with comfy cushions and soft lighting, maybe some calming music. Let's get a bunch of snacks. Let's sit there and plan for the next few months because, like a Taurus, slow and steady wins the race.
Oh, yes. Like Taurus, they know when to work hard and when to rest. So, like you said, slow and steady wins the race. They know how to take breaks, get good sleep, and nourish their body. So when they're studying or they're working towards a goal, they're doing it smarter in a way and not just working longer. Work smarter, not harder with a Taurus.
Yeah.
That's definitely the vibe. So
Okay.
I want to talk about Cinco de Mayo because, hey, I live in Arizona. It's a huge holiday here, Cinco de Mayo. It's a celebration during Taurus season that's all about food and flavor. And, you got your tacos, you got your guac, you got your churros, you got your margaritas. It's just a beautiful, fun celebration time. And it's all about the sensual pleasures and the food. The Tauruses love appreciating food. I actually got married during Taurus season. And so me and my husband, like, we love to go out and eat and enjoy food together. That's such a Taurus vibe. And it's also the time of year where you can go to a farmer's market and get fresh fruit and veggies, and just that your senses being tuned in. People get more pleasure from flavors and textures and smells during this time of year. So, you're snacking on that chips and guac, like you're having a churro, you're drinking that delicious margarita. That is definitely the vibe of Taurus season.
Yeah, I love that. I love the image of going to a farmer's market and like seeing all the bounty. Is that the right word? Like seeing all the
Mhm.
hard work that everyone did on the tables. That's like not free to grab, but grab it. Like have this all in your house and make your house like part of that bounty, I guess. Oh, and then
Yes.
Mother's Day is happening during Taurus season, which can be full of delights like flowers and brunch and cozy pajamas and heartfelt cards, sweet treats. It's a day to pause and appreciate a maternal figure who has provided Taurus like themes to you, who fed you and gave you a house and gave you warm socks and cooked for you all the time. Like you celebrate a person who has done that for you or your mom. A Taurus personality is very maternal. Like they're not the type who's just going to cook dinner for themselves and walk away. They're going to make food for everybody in the house. They're going to make sure you're comfortable. They want everyone to be like warm and cozy. They give big hugs. They give snacks. They love to get candy. Well, many of them do, but not all. But Taurus is like a candy sweet indulgence thing.
Absolutely. Those celebrations just really totally emphasize how Taurus is all about like the cozy comfort, the feel good vibes, and just enjoying really enjoying the season. This is a time where you're soaking it all in. And Mother's Day is when maternal figures or mothers in your life really get to soak in and enjoy the pleasures, the sensual pleasures of life. And that includes letting your mom like take a nap on Mother's Day. Naps very much. I'm sure a Taurus would appreciate that.
Yeah, and breakfast in bed. Like, please, like, let's do that. And that's so Taurus.
Oh, that's so Taurus. That makes so much sense. And talking about flowers in Taurus season, so the flowers, they're so Venus like because Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus, the planet of love and beauty. And so flowers during this season that represent this season are just beautiful. And one of my favorite photos on the mood board we showed earlier is the bull with some roses around them, because roses really symbolize sensual romance. And Taurus is full of that. That's the flower that many people give on holidays like Mother's Day. And the vibe of roses is that they're luxurious, they're classic, and they come with thorns. They don't give away their softness easily. You gotta get through the thorn to appreciate the beauty of the rose. And it really symbolizes the Taurus sense of self-worth and patience and refined love. And then the other flowers that are associated are peonies. Those are the soft and they're plush and they're full bodied. And they mirror that Taurus love of comfort and opulence. They're really giving that sense of romance and prosperity and the fullness of spring. And something unique about them is that they take time to open. When you get a peony, they're not just blooming right away. They take a little bit of time. And that is just like how a Taurus takes time to trust and really feel like they can open up to other people.
Aw. Also, let's look at wisterias because those are known to bloom during Taurus season. They're cascading, they're dreamy, and they're also like wildly romantic. So wisteria vines, they grow really slowly, like a Taurus. They move slowly, but they live a long time, just like Taurus's loyal and stable energy. And they build beauty through time and dedication. And that definitely symbolizes a Taurus sense of lasting love, sensual enchantment, and a sacred space.
Oh, we love those Taurus flowers. So
And I
romantic and
love
beautiful.
Taurus. I love that sign. Like every time I meet someone, I'm like, and then I know they're Taurus, like I just want to be their best friend.
Oh, and your husband is a Taurus stellium, you said. So it makes very much sense. That is an energy that you are drawn to for sure.
He's a Taurus Sun, Taurus Mercury, Taurus Mars. Yeah,
Wow. Oh my gosh. What a beautiful relationship. I love that vibe.
Thank you. I have a lot of Scorpio, so opposites attract. Let's close out spring season with our next sign, because our next sign is what ends the spring season and goes into the next. And that's what we call a mutable sign, something that closes out the season and starts to prepare for the next one. And that would be Gemini season, which takes place approximately through May 21st to June 21st. Um, during Gemini season, like things feel a little bit lighter, but quicker and more curious. Like we're not going to sit and ruminate. We're going to start taking some action. So Taurus season, if that grounds us in the stability, then Gemini season is when you feel comfortable enough to open your mind, have a little movement, connect with people, learn some new things, and explore. It's a time when it's the time of the year, like late spring, early summer, when our mental energy is heightened and we feel more drawn to different ideas and conversations and the stories that are unfolding around us. So Gemini energy, like someone who is a Gemini, they're really, really good at communicating with words. They're very adaptable. Like you can put them anywhere and like they'll find a way to like make it work for them. And my favorite part about Geminis is that they're really, really playful. Like they'll just run around. They always have good things to say. They're so social and they help us stay open. They always ask the right questions and they follow the threads of what lights us up. So let's pull up the beautiful mood board for Gemini. The Gemini mood board to Yak. I love the color yellow, and I think Kate likes that color too.
Yes, I have a Gemini Mars, so I love the color yellow, and I definitely am born to yap. So this very much resonates with me. And yeah, the color yellow, it's, because this is the late spring to early summer transition and the days are longer, the sunlight starts to feel even more bright and golden and energizing. And the color yellow mirrors that shift because it's the color of daylight, brightness, and mental awakening. And yellow symbolizes, like you were talking about with Gemini, that curiosity, that quick thinking, and optimism. It's like a color that's thinking out loud. Like when you see yellow, you just immediately feel like brighter and you don't even need to hear a word to feel that energy. Gemini people are so bright and just feel like the color yellow. Their yellow is also like joyful and light and kind of funny. Like yellow is a color that you see used to evoke that like happy smiling face, like the happy joyful humorous emotion, just like how Geminis are bubbly and talkative and social. It's the color that you feel when you open the windows and music is playing and it's just sunny and bright.
I love that. And also, Gemini rules like short term traveling, like doing your errands around the neighborhood or engaging with your community. And yellow is the color of school buses and taxi cabs, which get us around town.
Oh, I love that. And then the symbols of Gemini, the glyph for Gemini is the twins. And during Gemini season, just like the twins, we are invited to embrace the duality and versatility of the season. It's a time when our minds are flitting around between different ideas and conversations and interests, always curious and exploring multiple sides of a story. It's really embodying that mutable end of season transitional energy. And we're talking about yellow. One of the symbols for Gemini is bees. So bees are so cute, and bees are just like Gemini energy. They're curious, they're thriving on movement, they're flitting around from flower to flower, gathering information, nectar, and connecting those flowers like one bloom to the next, like pollination. And they really represent that mental busyness and constant interaction, just like Geminis and how they're chatty and alert.
Aw. And then with honey, which is sweet and golden and full of life, it feels like the product of Gemini's energy, like buzzing and gathering and connection turns into something nourishing and valuable, especially in my tea. Um, Bees live in a structured, highly communicative society, just like how Geminis will thrive in community. Geminis are like amazing at friend groups. That's the sign that has friend group, friend group, friend group. They love shared learning spaces. And there's intelligence and harmony in the hive, showing us that many voices in a group can all come together and have one purpose.
Yes. And Gemini also rules siblings. And so that really fits into that vibe of having a structure, a community structure that siblings like communicate almost like in their own language sometimes. And bees have their
Oh,
own
yeah.
language that they speak to each other. There's hierarchies, just like siblings and families. And so, bees kind of evoke that sibling vibe as well.
I love that connection. And now that you said it, I was thinking, you know how sometimes they say there's a duality in Gemini, like they can have a couple sides? I feel like that goes with siblings too. Like if I'm with my sister, I'll be like one kind of person, but then like we'll just be like, okay, bye, and go away. And we won't talk for 2 weeks. And then we're back suddenly talking like there was no time like that passed between us. And I feel like that's very, very Gemini. You'll see them and they're going to be your best friend forever, and then they're gonna leave. They'll be gone for a few weeks and they'll come back. Like they appear because there's so many things they need to do. They're not fake. There's just a lot going on, and they're always so friendly and bubbly. And they also need time to kind of stand back and to process everything that happened and to come up with more ideas and more topics. So that's why I think sometimes people might see two sides to a Gemini.
Oh, that makes so much sense. And during this time of year, like the weather changes, we're at the end of
Mm.
spring. And so it's warm enough to run through the sprinkler, with your siblings. You ever did that when you were a kid? I
Or your
certainly
friend
did.
groups, neighborhood
With
packs.
in the neighborhood, you're like running through the sprinkler, but you're not going to the beach yet. This is you're still like ending school year, and so you're not taking your trips to the beach, but you're definitely enjoying that playfulness of like running through the sprinkler. And in the late spring, gardens and trees and meadows, they're bursting with the flower blossoms, and that's a dream for pollinators like the bees. Because bees, they come out in the early spring, but Gemini season is really when their activity ramps up because there's more flowers and they're offering their nectar and pollen. That warm weather is really at the end of spring is what really amps that energy up for those types of pollinators and other animals.
Pollinators. I love that word, pollinators. um, yeah, so much is going on in our lives during that season. There's gonna like it's like you sense a change almost coming, and there's this duality of needing to close things out, but also wanting to just like play and have fun. So with that said, there can be some mental restlessness with so much going on. People might feel either scattered, like, oh, I have to study for my final exams, but I also want to go play outside. It's nice out. I want to go in the sprinklers. I want to run around with the neighborhood kids. So it's a great time to embrace variety, but also to practice mindfulness and a little bit of grounding, because it's the end of the school year where people aren't really taking things so seriously. It's like, oh, we're almost done with this anyway. Let's go party. But then at the same time, final exams are coming up, so it's time to study and everything in the world. There's a duality between wanting to socialize and cram for the exam.
Yes, it's like you're balancing two worlds in Gemini season. You're excited to be wrapping up your classes, but you're also feeling like the bittersweet feeling of saying goodbye to your routines that you've been having and like your friends and familiar rhythms. And so, like, this mirrors Gemini energy because Gemini people thrive in that in between space where there's both celebration and reflection happening all at once. Like graduation day is during Gemini season. And, the dual nature of Gemini shows up during that time because it's the mix of feeling joyful and free, but also maybe feeling a little nervous about what's next. And so the yin yang vibe perfectly matches Gemini's gift for holding on to contradictions and exploring different perspectives. Gemini, they can be two things at once.
I love it. And then there's also senior cut day during June. I don't know if that's like a thing, but for me, it was a thing where it's all
I'm
about breaking
jealous.
the routine.
I'm so jealous because it was not a thing in my school. And I always looked at, and my Gemini Mars was like, I would love a senior cut day.
See, for me, I would be way too scared to cut school. I would get nervous, but at the same time, I want to be a rebel. I want to go to like Adventureland or whatever theme park we were going to for senior cut day. So yeah, I did it, but at the same time, I was scared too. That the Gemini duality. So it's a moment where students feel an urge to explore freedom, switch gears, and follow their impulses rather than sticking to the rules. And I would say that Geminis can feel that too, where they want to do both things. They want to do the right thing, but they have this impulse to have fun and to do their own thing and be like a butterfly and flutter around.
Yes. And like this time of year is the time where, you know, you're getting everybody's numbers and you're like setting up your social network for the summer. You are setting the intention that you want to see people during break. And, you know, Gemini loves connecting in any way, especially through words and sharing information and keeping those conversations flowing. So it's like everybody's got each other's handles on all the social media apps. You got everybody's number. Also, it's the time where the yearbook comes out and, you know, you're going through, you're writing little notes to everybody. And those little notes in the yearbook are so Gemini because they're like short, but they're also sentimental. You know, they have that duality and really mirrors Gemini's energy.
Yeah, like only a Gemini, well, not only, but mostly Geminis have like that ability to write that little short and sweet note for anybody. They can come up with the words quickly to write like a powerful little note to summarize an entire friendship of the year in one little paragraph, like, see you this summer, LOL, like, so Gemini. And there's also often more like street fairs and music festivals. There's the end of school performances and neighborhood parties popping up. All these spontaneous gatherings and neighborhood chats and picnics and parties are rich with conversations and storytelling. Remember this, remember that, and make jokes. And what are you doing over the summer? We're a bit more eager to connect and to talk and to text, just like how Geminis are all the time, because they always carry this energy with them.
Yes, Gemini, like, it's all about the jokes. It's all about, like, especially in the yearbooks, you know, writing, like, the little inside jokes that you had throughout the year and, like, just reminiscing on those moments and short little nuggets. And sometimes those things are what stick with you the longest is, like, those little quirky inside jokes that you have. And, you know, this time of year, it's really about how you're about to go through a huge change. You know, you're ending the school year, you're going into the summer. You might be going on a summer vacation soon. You might be doing summer camp, going to summer school. And so a Gemini is really great at mastering the energy of planning these events and creating the social networks that they need to enjoy those things that are coming up in the summer. You know, like the spirit of exploration really reflects Gemini's curious mind. You know, Gemini rules short-term travel. You might not be going far to go to summer camp or summer school, but you definitely need to use that Gemini energy, the mental energy, to plan that out and make sure you're all connected and that you sit next to your friend in class when you go to summer school, or you're going to bunk with that person when you go to summer camp. And that's just it really reflects their vibe of always wanting to, you know, be curious and start something, make those connections so that they can start the next season off right.
And then there's also Memorial Day, which is the last Monday of May, which is a time for gathering and remembering, community connection, often with like lots of socializing and storytelling. There's usually no school or work during that time. So Memorial Day is a time where people come together to remember and honor those who have passed, sharing stories, sharing memories that keep their spirit alive. And the storytelling and communication is so Gemini.
Yes. And then the other holiday that happens during Gemini season is Juneteenth. And Juneteenth is a really powerful day of reflection, remembrance, and celebration of Black culture and their resilience and progress. During this holiday, you know, people honor the struggle for freedom and gather for community events, share stories and history, and celebrate with music and food and education. This is a holiday all about awakening and celebrating the moment when the news of freedom finally reached those who had been kept in the dark. And the unveiling of truth here with this holiday really aligns with Gemini's core love of sharing information, breaking through barriers, and spreading awareness. And it's a time that it involves storytelling and education and dialogue. People sharing that history, it's important, and it's all about utilizing that Gemini energy of communication. And it reflects Gemini's gift for communication and curiosity. And Gemini, all about embracing freedom. So it just really reflects the energy of Juneteenth.
Yeah, definitely. Bringing cultures together. So to close out for Gemini season, let's talk about flowers that happen. We have lavenders, which tend to bloom during Gemini season. They're airy, they're calming. But my favorite part about this is that you can use them for so many things. You can use them to make smells. You can use them for healing. You can use them for medicinal purposes. Like I read this study that lavender can actually lower depression if you are around it. And just the fact that this beautiful flower has such a powerful duality, like completely blows my mind.
I love that. Lavender was my favorite flower growing up. Like, it's funny how
Aww.
as we go through these seasons and we share this information with you, if you have a placement in your chart that's like, you might not be a Gemini sun, but I have a Gemini Mars, like you'll really find that things you intuitively connected to throughout your life show up in the symbols of the season. So I love lavender because it's always been something I've loved. And that was my Gemini Mars speaking to me.
Oh, that's so sweet. Do you love daisies?
Yes. So daisies are actually like one of those flowers that I would always draw, super fun to color and draw. And Gemini rules communication and writing and drawing. So that makes sense too. And daisies are like bright and they're cheerful and they're simple. And they're really reflective of Gemini's innocence and curiosity and joy. They have an open face. Did you ever draw a daisy and draw a little face, like a smiley face in the middle? I did.
I still do sometimes.
Yes. It's just really like playful and it mirrors that like talkative energy, having a face in the middle of a daisy. Oh, and then another flower that I loved as a kid because we had them growing up on one of the houses that I lived in is snapdragons. Snapdragons are colorful and animated, and they like talk when you squeeze them and very Gemini in their playful and expressive form. I remember that was one of my favorite little things is just snapping as I went up on my walk home from school at the end of the school year, like snapping the little snapdragons. And it really symbolizes Gemini's wit and charm and the power of words, the way that they literally talk to you when you snap them.
I can picture you as the Aries picking the flowers and hello, let's talk.
Yes, that was so me. And then the last flower associated with Gemini that we have here is cornflowers. And those are just so beautiful. They're vibrant blue color and they often are popping up like in meadows is where you'll see cornflowers. And they're playful, they're flirty, they're freely growing, just like Gemini's social butterfly spirit. I don't think there's anything more social butterfly feeling than a meadow where all of these bright blue flowers are blooming. And they really symbolize Gemini's ability to have a friendship and being spontaneous and joyful, which I just love about those flowers.
Oh, so cute.
So cute.
So that was so much fun. We hope that you enjoy learning about the signs through the seasons, our spring edition. So let us know in the comments which spring sign that you connect with, what your favorite springtime rituals and activities are, and if anything that we shared really resonated with you. And we'll be back soon with our summer, fall, and winter editions of the signs through the seasons. So stay tuned.
And if you loved this journey through the cosmos, please share the magic. Send this episode to a fellow stargazer, and don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss your next royal invitation to the stars. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are the Planetary Princesses, and don't forget, your invitation to the cosmos is always open. Until next time, Cosmic Queens and Kings.